Hello everybody, this is Derek Weldon with the Cool JDM Show, and today we have a show talking about cars from Japan, car culture in Japan. We're talking about Mike, we're talking about Derek, and we're talking about Max.
Hi.
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 It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so the things on today's show are going to be an update about the Drives Japan channel.
Ooh.
I got some really great things to talk about with that one. Actually, I don't. I just said that.
We have cool stuff.
I have some very mediocre things to talk about with that.
We have BBs to show you.
We do. We're going to share an amazing picture with you, and that one actually is amazing because no time in your life are you ever going to see the same sort of picture.
Sure.
We're also going to feed your brain with the knowledge about common problems on cars from Japan. And we have been doing this for a long time, and we have found out almost all of the problems that you can commonly have. And we're going to tell you that, so you're going to be smarter than everybody else. And then we've got car picks from auction. We got 3 auction picks and 1 dealer pick this time. We were a little bit rushed. We couldn't really go through the dealer cars as much as we usually do. So that is actually cool because auction cars are better to buy anyway than the dealer cars.
Sure.
And if you have questions, Mike will answer them because by that part of the show, I'm going to be tired of talking.
I'll be ready. I might have to exit the show a little bit if a bid conflicts, but we'll see what happens.
That's right. Jacob is in the port. It is 35 degrees today, and Jacob's going to be sweating his armpit hair off, clean off.
Goody.
And we got him. Maybe we can bring up a picture of this because I think people...
Oh, yeah. Are they a thing outside of Japan?
We got Jacob a cool vest. It's a vest, and it has fans in it, and it puffs up like you're some sort of a snowman because Japan's incredibly hot, and we got him one of these, and he says it is very good.
Do you want to do this week at PCA for that?
Yeah?
Okay.
This week at PCA, Jacob gets a fan vest.
So here we are. This is a fan vest.
I want to see the ones like the camo ones that everyone in Japan seems to have. That's pretty
It's
close.
not a camo vest, but this is what they are.
Yeah.
So 5 years ago, you probably didn't see any of these, and then all of a sudden, every construction worker has these during the summer. They are incredibly good. And I am curious, because I've been here in Japan for a very long time. I'm not sure if these are a thing in other countries.
Yeah.
Or do the construction workers just have no armpit hair in Canada or the US?
I would like to know if anybody has seen these cool vests or if they're a thing in your country. Maybe write a little message. Or if they're like a new thing or if they've been around for ages. Because in Japan, I feel like I've seen more and more of them as the years go by. But maybe the last 5 years? No, maybe less than that. They've become like the go-to thing.
Mm-hmm. And I got one for myself in case I go to the port, because sometimes I will with Jacob. And
you just want one to be cool too.
So I went into a store, and these are in all sorts of like home centers and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So I went to a store and I was like, okay, let me try one on, and this is just funny. I'm going to do it with my kids, but like it feels so good because the air comes in from the vents on the side, right? But the only place that it can go is out through the collar. So getting that constant rush of air coming up through like a hot neck and onto your face and head. Oh, it feels so nice.
And even if it's just air, like it's not cooled air, it's just, is it hot air?
It's
whatever
just
the environment temperature is, right?
Right, but it's still like on sweaty skin, it feels great.
Yeah.
So yeah, now if you want to see a picture of Jacob wearing that, demand it. You can send an email to Jacob.
Send us an email.
His email is j.slack@pacificcoastjdm.com.
That is true. Yeah.
And then you can send him a picture, send him an email requesting.
Send him an email saying we desperately want to see you.
Only the vest, nothing else. Actually, he said yesterday it was so hot he took his undershirt off and wore just the vest by itself.
You said under, and my brain did not think shirt was the next word coming out after that. And I was like, no more. So
if you want a picture of Jacob wearing only the vest, suggestively posed, send him an email, j.slack@pacificcoastjdm.com. And last time we asked for somebody to send emails to Grant, only one person did. So if you are watching this right now and you do have a little extra time, I'm just saying I think it'd be funny.
It would be funny.
I will not write the email. Then.
We will hear about this later, no doubt.
Mike, do you want to call us in for the special image? And
Yes.
and that person is in the chat.
They are.
The person who allowed for this image to happen. We got permission, of course. But I gotta say that same person also said, "Are you going to show off the BB bit chargy?"
Oh, I was going to mention that. So
I'm wondering how this person found out about the BB bit chargy. You told him?
no, well, he was the one who told me. And then I told him that I had found one, and then that Derek
Alright.
Weldon couldn't help but...
I can't believe how much I
just
spent
one.
on that.
It's
I
a
bet
bit
you that was
expensive, but-
1,200 yen or 1,500 yen when it was new. And
Yeah.
I spent 5,000 yen on it. But we can't tell you what it is until next week because we got to make sure that it works.
Right. So, Pester... We can say who's
But
this car. Everyone, I think, knows.
But Greg, we got it, and it's awesome. It is amazing. It's so detailed, and it looks so good. The proportions are good. I'm so glad that you found that. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what it, everyone in chat scratching their head.
Yeah.
What are they talking about?
Oh,
It's a very little remote control version of the BB Open Deck.
Right.
It's just really tiny and has
Yeah. So as the story goes, Greg recently bought a BB. Actually, let's show the
show the
picture
image.
Okay.
so
yeah,
we can.
website, see.
Greg's newest purchase is a BB,
an open deck version of the BB.
a yellow,
which is
open
more
deck
than
BB.
twice as cool as the regular one. I think
Yeah.
the regular one's cool, but more than twice as cool for the
Yeah.
open deck version.
For sure. So that is a picture of all three magnificent BBs lined up in their glory. And Greg has kindly allowed us to share the photo with you all.
And Greg's comes with, we don't have a picture of this.
Nope.
I hope, Greg, that you're not upset about me sharing this, but I think it's the coolest thing in the world, so hopefully you allow it.
Because you're about to do it?
It comes with the BB Open Deck tent.
No way. The full tent?
It does.
Oh, that is so cool.
So this tent, it's a little hard to explain. This tent goes over the back, and the back has a tailgate that opens to the interior of the vehicle. And so you can have that open and then put the tent up, and you can actually lay down and camp inside your BB as a camper.
That is awesome. I've never seen one.
And it's an official item. You're probably not going to find too many pictures because it almost doesn't exist. But the fact that this one came with it, at least Jacob told me that it did. He's like, yeah, there's a bag and it has a tent inside and stuff.
We got to be careful. Like, we might need to send that to him separately if it's not going to... Because there's no way we can afford that getting thrown out. Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, it's getting mailed to you, Greg, because there's no way we can risk that getting taken out.
What a
before
weird
it's
little
done.
option. I can imagine nobody was optioning their BB with that. So there's probably like 7 of them in the world.
What is the color changing gauge cluster?
What?
He said it also has the color changing gauge cluster. I never. heard about
So that one was available in the XB in North America, and it's just like the backlight of it can change into different colors, I believe.
You have
that.
green and blue?
Yeah, it's a bunch of colors. I don't know. Could
Wow.
be RGB. I don't know.
Sweet.
I have heard of that. I haven't seen it in Japan, so that would be another very rare option here in Japan.
Well, then I have to say, once we do our next photo competition, everybody is going to have stiff competition. If you can...
Yeah, if you send in an open deck, you immediately win. And so we're opening up the bidding right now for open decks. There are plenty of them at auction, PacificCoastJDM.com. Buy an open deck, win a prize.
Win a prize.
Wouldn't that be
Cool.
funny, actually,
Yeah.
if every month we picked a certain car and anyone who bought that car then would get a special prize?
That'd be tough.
Yeah.
And what if people are just buying cars that they don't want? They're like, we need you to buy a
really-
clapped out drift chaser.
I really won that prize, so I bought 83 cars this month.
Ouch.
So yeah, it was really cool to see all 3 of them together. Greg's has the TRD front bumper, and looks to be in pretty good condition. I did get to poke around at it. It has the hard case for the rear, which is another rare option. Love to see it.
I have to say, Greg increased his bid amount slightly after he had sent it in, and that was he sealed the deal with that increase.
All right.
We just barely won the car, and it was due to him slightly upping his bid, so that was fun. And then Greg also used to have the little BitChar G toy. He told us about that. I happened to find one for sale in Japan. Derek bought it immediately. It'll be on the show next week.
6,000 yen
maybe.
for a little toy.
Wasn't it 5?
plus shipping. And I don't know. I don't actually know because I saw the images and I was like, buy that.
Yeah.
And I saw there was a 5 and then something. So it's in the 5,000s plus shipping, mine shipping. I don't know.
Okay.
I got a weirdly itchy nose today. Today is Noah's itchy day. If I go like this, it wasn't because of cocaine, by the way.
Derek.
I find it so hard to find that in Japan. Okay,
what's next?
A quick little talk. I went to the dentist, which is really fun to do in Japan. You go to the dentist, you get your cavities filled, and it costs you $10 to get a cavity filled. Whereas in Canada, where I come from, things might be different now because I heard there's a dental plan or something like that. But in Canada, we always had universal health care, except for if your teeth are broken, screw you. Because it wasn't, or your eyes were broken, screw you. And so you'd have to pay full price for all of your dental work. And it'd be $200 or $300 to get a cavity fixed. Not for me. The same I pay $10 here in Japan.
Wait, I thought you have a reappointment though or something.
I do, because there is a little bit more to this story. It's embarrassing and it's boring. So I'm not going to really share it, but I do need to get a root canal, which is a 2-hour procedure. And I need to go in again in 2 weeks. And I need to get my wisdom teeth pulled out. They said I don't.
No, I don't want to talk about dentist stuff. I dislike the dentist.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay. This weekend I've got a date, and I would like to share my date with you all. It actually is my wife and I's 19th wedding anniversary, but instead of doing that, I'm going to be going on a road trip with Mike.
With me?
Mm-hmm. Actually, let's see, it's the 18th now. Our wedding anniversary is like 7 days or 5 days after. That was quick math, so it might be wrong.
But it was quick.
If you're my wife, every morning I'm like, today's my live show to my wife. Watch and comment if you want, and she never does. So I'm hoping that like if we see in a comment right now, it's like our anniversary is actually in 7 days, Derek.
Also, you're in trouble. That would be hilarious. I would not be able to contain myself.
I wish I were buying myself an NSX for a wedding anniversary. My wife, I don't know where it came from, but all of a sudden, I've told you this, right? All of a sudden, she's obsessed with buying a Civic. And she's okay with buying a Type R. We don't
without having been in one though.
We don't need another car. We've got a minivan.
Type R minivan.
A Civic is too small for us, but she keeps talking about it. If I got her a Civic Type R for a wedding anniversary, 19-year anniversary, have a Type R, I wonder how that would go over with her.
Honestly, pretty good, because then
I got 5 days to buy one now.
You're showing her that you listen and that you care about her. You're getting a Type R for yourself. That's a pretty big deal. And I mean, it's a wedding anniversary, right? It's you and your wife getting married.
Right. And she likes me enough to stay married with me for 19 years. Yeah. So that means that she cares about me being happy.
Right.
So I can buy myself things I like as a present to her.
And then, like, I don't know, show up with flowers and be like, no, you love flowers. And I got you the Civic that you've been talking about. It's actually mine, and I'm going to go for rips now. This is a good idea.
I haven't been able to drive my Corolla by myself yet. Every time I've driven it so far, except for to the gas station and back, has been with other people in it. So I'm very much looking forward to our road trips where I get to really feel the car. And I got some beautiful accent trim for the wheels and center caps, and I love the way it looks. So we'll get you a picture for next week. You can see what the two cars look like. The Type R, FD2 Type R, and the Corolla 11. We have our newly registered cars at the same time, and we're ready to rock.
I'm going for zoomies.
Speaking of new cars, Max did not buy a new car, but would you like to announce who did?
With reverb. Give yourself reverb.
Gran bought a car.
How do you feel about this, Grant buying the car? It kind of came up out of nowhere to me.
I'm not sure if I mentioned it on the show before, but I mentioned this to Grant the other week. Grant and the Honda Fit to me are like the same thing. They're like coupled together. They're intertwined. I think Honda Fit. I think Grant. I think Grant. I think Honda Fit. Mm-hmm. I think he's modified his Honda Fit a lot. I think he's enjoyed it. I think he's loved it. But he's no longer going to have a Honda Fit. So what is Grant to me anymore? I don't know.
I was going to say the name of the car, but I don't know if we should.
I think we can. I think we
All right,
talked
go
about
ahead.
it last week.
Grant bought a Land Cruiser.
A lifted Land Cruiser. Everyone's saying that. That's why you said. I love it. Yes, we finally convinced Grant to buy a lifted Land Cruiser.
No,
Lifted
he
Land
didn't.
Cruisers are a lot of money, and Grant bought something that is not a lot of money, but a lot of value.
Yeah.
It's a Suzuki Swift and
Sports.
Sport Swift. I have driven one before, and I told Grant that I like the engine a lot better than the Fitz engine. So maybe
Right.
it was my fault, and if he doesn't like it, we can all
Still
look
your
at
fault.
me.
Oh, I thought you were going to try to weasel out of it. I would have.
No, Grant drove one last year and realized
Okay, Grant just said he drove one last year.
This is the only
realized
time Grant's
Derek
ever
Weldon
said I'm right.
was right.
you convinced me to buy the Fit.
We're now
Yeah,
here
now you're
on
selling
the
it. We were thinking about getting Grant a little microphone so you guys can hear what he's saying.
Okay, and you guys are gonna hate me for this. What if we had a floating Grant head that was like floating around here saying stuff, and we could like flick it on if Grant has something to say?
I think it's funny how Grant's become something of a star of the show, even though
do
he's
too.
not actually part
Yeah.
of the show.
Let us know how you'd like us to incorporate Grant into the show.
Okay, we're gonna show that car. Also, one other thing, if you want to buy Grant's car,
His Honda Fit.
his car is a good car, and it has been fully looked over by Grant and taken care of very well. And we're going to have a video coming up at some point, I don't know how long from now, showcasing the car and showing Grant's kind of goodbye of the car, similar to what we did for the Lotus for me. So if you are interested in buying it, Fits are not terribly expensive. They're good value for money, and this one, like I said, has been taken care of really well.
And has a lot of aftermarket stuff. Grant, I gotta say, Grant's like his main passion or hobby or love for cars, some of that comes from modifying cars. A lot of that comes from modifying cars. Like, he wants to buy a car and then he wants to put all the bits on it and modify it and make it cool, make it awesome, new wheels, intakes, tunes, little bits, everything. So it's, I think, maybe as loaded as a Fit that you can get.
Carbon fiber hood. And drives Japan sticker
Exclusive.
on the car.
Right.
And Cool JDM Show sticker on the car, and Pacific Coast Auto sticker on the car.
Yeah.
He has the trifecta, and yes, they are the original
The
first edition.
run. Yeah.
First run of 30. This is a one of 30. Actually, wait, how many stickers did we buy, Max?
It was different for each sticker. So
Limited
there's no
edition stickers, quantities unknown. No K20 in the Fit. That
God,
Grant,
that would be awesome.
Grant toyed with the idea, but just too expensive and too crazy. So it's as far as you can go without building the car for like race use, I would say.
Right, there's no engine
compromise.
internals or anything. It's all the bolt-ons that you need.
Yeah, full bolt-ons. That's a good
Yeah.
way to put it. Not Canada legal, so
It
I think
is
you're
Canada legal this November.
right. Yeah, a bit of a wait.
But we talked about it and we didn't come up with an idea of whether we want to be like holding it for someone for that long, or if we would sell it to somebody who can import it right away, or
Yeah.
you know, we still haven't talked the details through for that.
But that means that's a drive with all of us to do the video, right? We get another drive. Because that last video for the Lotus, that was the last drive for the Lotus, the BMW, and the Fit.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wait, if we do another Fit video, the Fit will come back.
I gotta say, Mike, I feel a little bit bad, and I need to say an on-air apology to you.
Ooh.
Yesterday, I was like, "Hey Grant, let's sell your Fit on the YouTube channel. It'll be great. You'll get more than at auction." And then my mind immediately went, "That's an offer I didn't give to Mike when he sold the BMW." And I'm legitimately sorry for that.
No, don't be.
But at the same time, I think that your BMW was troublesome, and I
Yeah.
don't want to offload that onto a
Yeah.
customer, even if they know about that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
Oh,
we
yeah.
gave
haven't-
updates
Yeah.
on the BMW. Do you want to give
Update.
update time?
Can I have a little dial for reverb? I kind of feel like asking you for reverb is,
You got to lock eyes with Max, and then Max will probably know.
or wink at Max.
Yeah, we need
Or
to have a
wink.
wink or something.
Okay.
You've got replay.
Hi, Max.
I don't like it.
You didn't even get to hear it either because you don't have the headphones in.
I imagine it didn't sound good. Yeah, the BMW sold at auction. And then last week we talked about there was a claim. The buyer bought a claim. So the final story for that is the buyer said it had an aftermarket exhaust. And I was like, well, I don't actually know. I didn't poke around and have a look at all of the things, but I don't think so. It had the M Sport package, which comes with an M Sport exhaust. And the auction spoke with the buyer and they said, no, this is definitely claimable. This is an aftermarket exhaust. So I said, send me a copy of the picture of the underside of the vehicle. Max had a look, Grant had a look, we all had a look, checked online. Sure enough, it's the M Sport exhaust. And we told them, no, that's the M Sport exhaust.
Checked online in German.
Yes.
Well,
right?
That was a little bit after we told them, no, like this is the original exhaust. And they said, no, it's not. You can see this part of the like a rear, was it like a resonator, big resonator box?
Mid pipe that did not have a resonator?
Yeah, as opposed to just a Y pipe. And they're like, no, that's totally aftermarket. So we did like a deep dive online. Max was searching in German, found like the official German diagram of the M Sports exhaust.
And was so proud of finding that too.
Yeah.
Max was like, yeah, guys, look what I found.
So we sent the auction back a very long email with like, I don't know, 10 pictures or something, and like circling things and showing where to find like the M Sport plate and everything like that, and just very comprehensive email. And then the auction came back and spoke to Nalco here in the office and was like, oh wow, that's so much detail, thank you so much. And yeah, you're right, I guess it doesn't look like it was the wrong exhaust all along. And then we were like, hey, this took us a ton of trouble and time to do all of this. How could you just accept the claim? Because originally they came to us and said, this is definitely claimable. Like, you guys are on the hook for this because you've lied on the auction sheet. And then they come back and we told them everything, and they're like, okay, definitely no claim. And then they said that the buyer didn't even know. They just thought that it was aftermarket.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
the buyer wasn't even sure.
I don't even know how this ended. This is a new story to me.
Yeah. I mean, originally we told them, okay, you have to take the BMW to a BMW dealer. It just got shock in. I took it to a BMW dealer for shock in and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And I said, we've been told in the past, take it to the dealer. So we said, take it to the dealer. Have the dealer prove
but they
that
didn't.
The exhaust is real. They didn't. And then we said, okay, take photos. And they didn't. And then the auction was just on our ass.
So wait, the auction trusted the buyer
with
based on nothing.
Yeah, zero evidence other than the little white
when
pipe.
we make a claim, the auction is like poo-poos all of our ideas for claims.
Even when we send like detailed proof. Very frustrating. The auctions can be very frustrating. Claims processes in general. Right, someone said you need a countersue. That was on my mind, but it definitely wouldn't work.
Is that an American in there?
No, it's
I imagine if we sued the auction would be like, hey, pass me your member card while I cut it in half.
Yeah. Not sue, but like counterclaim, I think he means. Like, be like, hey, you took all of this time and everything.
The auction would be like, bye.
Yeah. At the end, once we realized that the exhaust was real, I was open to the idea of accepting the vehicle back, but making the buyer pay like a large cancel fee and pay all of the costs for transport and everything to get it back to me. And I was going to sell it in New Zealand, like fix it up and sell it. And the reason we didn't sell it on the channel is because it had a bunch of warning lights that kept coming back.
Right.
So there was some kind of issue that wasn't resolved there. I went to BMW, wasn't fixed. Then the check engine light came on.
It makes me so mad that like you bought the car, right? You spent a good amount of money cleaning it up.
Yeah, a lot of money.
You put on some really awesome looking wheels, and then you sold it for less than you originally bought it for.
Yeah.
Of course, the new auction sheet said that the warning lamps were on, and that's going to lower the price a lot.
Yeah.
But this new dealer gets the car at what I would consider a smoking deal, and then was like, I want even more.
Yeah.
What a dirty guy.
Yeah, I was super pissed off at that, and then I was like, no, you get nothing. Like, I'll take the car back as long as, like, I'm not paying any more money. We were going to offer them, like, before we got pictures and everything, we were going to offer them a $50 claim and say either $50 or you cancel.
I'd love it if it was $5. I'll give you $5, or else you can go.
Oh no, it was 50 as Gosen yen.
Yeah, so like $30 basically.
Yeah. How about we try to buy a car from that dealer from auction and then claim
auctions don't let us know who the dealers are.
Yeah. But anyway, the BMW saga is finished. It is no longer.
So now it's completely sold. Okay, because I was waiting on that final update because I didn't hear anything yesterday about what was happening with it.
Yeah. But
I'm glad it's out of your hair, and I'm sorry it was a bad situation, but I'm glad that you like the Honda. You're going to put on the exhaust because right now it's straight piped, and then we're going to go driving and have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Both
BMW
with
is
our
gone.
good sounding cars.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I'm looking forward to hearing yours too.
I'm
Full
looking
exhaust,
forward to
brand
hearing
new.
yours.
Oh, I don't
Stock
know.
exhaust, but aftermarket header and aftermarket mid pipe.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it'll sound pretty good.
I hope so.
still think you're going to want to have more than that. We had a little bit of news. We're just going to skip it because for time. The dudes from Throttle House are now the Grand Tour guys.
I think that's cool news.
And this, for on one side, you know, you don't get Jeremy, May, and the hamster guy.
But they were never going to be there, right? Like that had finished.
It's all finished. They need a new host. It's hard for Top Gear to move to new hosts because everybody loves the trio.
Yeah.
That's why the show exists. Interesting that they're going to continue the show with new hosts, but I think that if you're picking any new host, you've picked good ones. The Throttle House guys, there's also one other dude who's a train guy. Max says he knows him. Max says he's super funny, which I love, and maybe this will be a good mix, but the two Throttle House guys have a really great chemistry between the two of them, so I hope it's not a little third wheelie.
Yeah, I wonder that too. And I don't know what the angle of Francis for the show will be.
Because he's not a car guy, he's a train guy.
Comedic relief? But the other two guys are pretty funny together already.
But if you're a train guy, you also know a lot about like engineering and stuff like
maybe.
that. So I think Francis is just like Zaid says, good pick. He is a car. Okay, I didn't know.
I don't know this person. I'm going to look him up now.
I don't know him either.
I just think he's funny and nice. So
We got the name of the guy, right? Francis I don't know how to pronounce that.
Is it Bourgois?
No, it's Borgias.
Borgiois. French, right? Bourgois. His name is Francis Bourgois.
Oh, and Thomas, Canadian.
Oh yeah, and
Canada
James,
represent
UK, right?
Yeah, but I
Originally,
believe
but-
that he moved to Canada for some reason and then started the channel. Well,
Yeah.
the Throttle House was originally just Thomas in Canada, and then like 3 years later, it became Thomas and James. Okay.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed their videos.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Probably one of them and Haggerty are probably my two favorite car channels.
Yeah.
You want a reverb? I can see your finger on the blue dial.
yes, go ahead.
That's you.
Me?
Yeah. I want you to introduce this one.
The main topic and segment of today's show is talking about cars.
It's written down if you want to read it.
What 15 years of experience has taught us. It's not in bold, so it's quite deceptive that that's the name of the segment.
Almost nothing's in
way
bold.
too early. But
Sorry.
Okay, so we have seen handfuls of cars. I have personally reviewed probably 2,500 different cars, spent an hour with each one. That's a lot of information. Beyond that, we translate a lot of auction sheets. The auction sheets tell you all the problems with cars.
Yep.
I was trying to imagine how many auction sheets that we as a company have translated. I have a feeling it might be over 100,000.
I gotta say, I think we're all slightly autistic, so this information stays with us, and that makes us even better at knowing these kind of things, right?
Yeah, welcome to the cool autistic show.
Maybe.
And hold on. The only
stickers
reason we are all autistic is because a customer called us all autistic in an email, right?
We're diagnosed.
We're not actually diagnosed.
Maybe not. Aren't we all autistic? Somewhere on the spectrum. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so in this segment, if you have questions about certain cars, then let us know and we can give the feedback. Especially me, I've seen a lot of cars, but we've all been around cars and talked a lot about them, so we all have a good understanding of them. This is going to hit a lot of the common problems that we've seen in a lot of cars. It is not comprehensive. I spent an hour going through a list of all of the cars we purchased and then going, oh yeah, this car has this, and oh yeah, this car has this. And I'm sure there's things that I missed. So if you think I've missed something, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, people who are watching can help flesh out some of the details if they've either purchased one and know. That would be fun.
Right. So we got pictures for each car just to keep it a little bit more interesting. And we'll jump right into the first one. Not yet.
not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Just an overall thing, because you guys aren't in Japan, most likely. Parts in Japan are a thing. You can buy them and you can fix your car with them. Sounds great, right? You run out of parts in Japan way sooner than you do in other countries because older cars are less common here and companies don't want to keep the parts around for too long. So in the States, while you can get parts for a 30-year-old car, you probably can't in Japan very easily. And I feel like the cutoff is somewhere around 20 years when it starts getting hard for some parts to be bought, and then some parts are okay. A lot of people assume that you can just buy any parts that you want here in Japan and to fix the car. But for older cars, there's a lot of rebuilding of the parts. Starters, alternators can get rebuilt, injection pumps can get rebuilt. These sorts of things are rebuild it. Sometimes you use aftermarket parts like fuel pumps. You know, just because it's a Japanese car doesn't mean that you can get parts here. And that's an overarching problem with any old car from auction here. It's like, oh no, your car broke before export. What would you do? What should you do?
Yeah.
And the customer says, okay, well, go fix that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me find parts. Nope, don't have any.
Yeah. Happens.
Okay, first car. I bet you chat probably knows this one. This is the first one on the list for a reason.
You've heard us talk about it before.
There's me. It is the FD version of the RX-7. I picked this picture in particular because that lady has owned the car since new.
No way.
Yep.
Yeah,
That is sick.
Right?
that was a big story.
And how hard is it to keep an RX-7 in good condition from new?
I want to know how much she spent. Nah, she doesn't drive it. Nah, I bet she does drive it. She drives the wheels off that thing.
I think the car right now lives at a Nissan dealer, and then it's just like being shown as her car.
Mazda?
Huh?
Mazda?
Yeah, not Nissan.
I was like, I mean, there could be.
I just wanted to comment on something. The RX-7 is a very small car. She must be super
oh,
tiny.
right. Like 140 centimeters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, super tiny. 'Cause that car looks big.
Someone said she was probably autistic.
Is that going to be a new thing? We should get... we should get people to email Mike that he's autistic.
I
could be
already
our
get
thing.
it enough. Just add you to the pile.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the RX-7, people know that these are unreliable cars, and usually I am not one to jump onto the bandwagon and call something unreliable just because I've heard it on the internet. I have found plenty of incorrect information on the internet about what's reliable and what's unreliable, but this one is true. RX-7s, we have like a 30% rate of something going wrong before
More
export.
than that, don't you think?
I don't know.
Only 30?
It really depends on which one that you're buying, but
Yeah.
the big problem I have with this is that the mileage doesn't tell you the condition like a regular piston engine does. If these things run low on oil, they can time bomb the engine, and then you need to rebuild them. So you can have 30,000, you can have 12,000 kilometers on them, and they could be done.
Yeah.
And we don't know. We have no way of telling how well that they were maintained. Even if they are maintained well, you might be lucky to get 150,000 kilometers, 170,000 kilometers on it, but it tends to run poorer as it gets older. You can drive two RX-7s, both the same year and the same mileage, and they can be completely different drivability. A good driving RX-7, though, it is amazing.
Yeah.
And something I like to tell people is these RX-7s, these are in the same category as your GTRs and your Supras in terms of performance, but they cost way less. $20,000 less, $30,000 less. And that money could be well spent on rebuilding your engine or rebuilding it several times over the course of driving it. And
the number plate on the picture is 7 too. She was a fan. She was just big old RX-7.
that's the number plate from the beginning too, I would suspect. I can't see it very well in that picture, but
yeah. It looks like there's 3 digits, but sorry.
kind of looks like 2.
These are fantastic cars. Beautiful, great performing, great handling.
Look good stock, look good modified, look good with like bigger wheels, smaller wheels, race setup, street setup.
Go all out on them, like yeah.
But don't buy them from us.
I mean, the very, very nice ones, which are more expensive, like 5 million yen and stuff
That's
like that.
a lot for one of these.
It is
A
a
lot.
lot, but you get the special color, you probably get a later model one, you probably get a nice one. Even the nice ones probably need at least a little something, I would say.
Oh, I would love to have one of these. If
too.
you've got the money
Yeah.
to, like, and just assume you'll have to rebuild stuff, and then have that as part of the ownership of it.
I think if you're a tinkerer and you like to like fiddle around with things on your car, this is for you.
I feel like this car is beyond the tinkerer's ability to maintain.
I mean, like tinkering in an engineering kind of way, where you're like, you want
like
to
you
be
have a
fixing
degree.
things. You know, like the people who used to buy old British motorcycles, right? They want to be like working on them and doing these little fine
The
tuning.
bigger the oil patch on the driveway, the more cred that they get.
Right.
So
like that kind of person.
if you are okay draining a flooded rotor on the side of your Walmart parking lot, buy an RX-7.
No, you got to have a dedicated garage for this, and you probably want like a lift and
No,
stuff
I mean
like
that
that.
you flood the engine while you go shopping.
Yeah.
Okay, so problems are low compression is one of the big ones. This engine injects oil as part of the running cycle. That's why the exhaust is a little bit blue. Flooded engines. This is a big one. A lot of people don't realize this. You can't turn off a rotary engine when it's cold, or it risks flooding the engine and not being able to start. You
We've
see
had
it
that many times.
especially with driver companies that don't realize this.
Yeah.
A flooded engine needs to have the cylinder, the plugs pulled out, preferably replaced. You have to dry out the inside of the engine, put the plugs back in, and then it should start again. A lot of them have modifications that were done more than 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and that is kind of like it's like a death switch for the car.
Yeah.
Old modifications fail faster than original parts do, and then if it has been modified, you don't know what things have been changed
Yeah.
necessarily, so it can be a little bit harder to track down a problem. They also have like 7 boost solenoids or something like that. It's a very complicated system with the twin
Yeah.
turbos, and I find that the older RX-7s tend to be more reliable as a result. Like
These ones with all the
fewer
vacuum
electronics,
lines everywhere, right? Like tons.
Like
of
30.
them. Yeah.
like the old carbureted Hondas.
Yeah. We have time for an anecdote.
One more thing, they also overheat a lot. Anecdote time.
Quick one.
Quick anecdote. We bought a expensive RX-7. It was yellow. It had all of the good bits. It was heavily modified. We warned the customer multiple times. We went as far as to saying, "Don't buy this car. Bad idea," because of all of these reasons. Had a big turbo. Had all of the 15, 20-year-old modifications with the, I don't know, I'm not going to list them all, it would take too long, but heavily modified big turbo car. It bounced around 3 different shops. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with it. It ended up having to be sent to the customer in a container, and because we couldn't fix it. Nobody else could fix it. It was like either you wait 6 months to get into a specialty shop, or you ship it in a container.
Imagine being a
Like-
specialty shop for RX-7s.
Yeah.
You got to be so smart.
Yeah, and we had warned the customer all this, and the customer, and to their credit, handled it well. Like, it was very expensive.
That
These
customer's a
were-
bro for sure.
Yeah, but he also had problems with it when it arrived into USA, and I don't know what became of the car after that. But
Denzel says lots of LS swapped RX-7s in US and Canada. I wonder why.
yeah,
Okay, next car is more of a key than a car.
Yay.
These, I want to use the F word right now, but these freaking keys always break. And you can see in this picture why. The only metal part that extends into this key is the tiny little portion at the top, and then they happen to have a screw in there, and that screw breaks the plastic.
a jeweler's screw of this size.
And people tighten that screw up too much, crack the plastic, and then the key is done.
Yeah.
Annoying.
You turn the key from that plastic part.
Every time I start the Altezza, I'm like, is this the day
Oh, yeah.
my key breaks?
Hold on, your Altezza has the one, not like this key, right? Yours has the inner etched key, right?
Correct, yes. They don't have that problem
I don't think so.
because the interior of the key is the same. Like, there's this little like electronic box
I
in
don't-
it, and
I-
it doesn't extend.
I feel like I've only ever seen. By the way, I didn't mention it. These are from Toyotas from the late '90s to the late 2010s.
Every single high.
Our BB could come with these, but our version of the BBs have just regular keys because these ones broke already. I'm sure.
yeah.
Oh, our white one has one. Yeah,
white one has
our white BB has one.
That's true.
But I just used the flat keys without
Yeah.
the fob.
For an older car, I think just do away with it.
Yeah. So many of those broken keys.
Yeah.
On to the next one, another Toyota. Thank you to the person who lent us this. These, by the way, all of these pictures are not officially stolen because we're showing them on the internet.
Really? Is that how that works?
I hope so.
It would be nice if we gave people credit.
I don't know if we can give credit
don't
because some
know.
of them we don't know the sources.
Yeah.
Also, the license plate has been blurred out on this one. This is a Hayasa KZH 106, very popular export from Japan because it's a 3-liter diesel, 4-wheel drive, lifted suspension, and they are super comfortable and they are awesome. Amazing vehicles.
It's fantastic.
They do have some pretty big oversights in the ways that they were engineered. They have rust problems on the rear suspension. It's not crucial. If it is broken, you can repair it and you don't have to worry too much because it's very robust metal there.
Okay.
But you do have to fix rust on maybe half of them. They also, and not so much anymore for this next one, but in the past, they would often have injection pump problems. They would leak at the injection pump. The injection pump, for those who don't know, diesels often don't use like a fuel pump that sends the fuel into the engine. They'll use a mechanical pump that is part of the engine and run off of the rotation of the engine, pulling the diesel in. And this is basically right next to the timing belt. So in order to fix it, you might as well do the timing belt at the same time because the whole front of the engine has to come off. Yeah. And it's about a $1,500 job if you are just leaking a little bit of diesel. It happens when the seals dry out, which happens if they're not driven very often.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say that it's like recently we don't see it as much is because Hayasas have had a resurgence here in Japan and have become popular again. Yeah. And most of the people driving them are driving them more often than they were, say, 5 or 10 years ago. But still, an expensive problem, and you won't necessarily know until you buy it because the car will be fine when it goes to auction and then it will go for export. But then that's the moment that they start leaking because it takes a little bit of time for these hard seals to start leaking. Yeah. And expensive to fix. So do keep that in mind. Have an extra $2,000 or something for a Hayas.
Which honestly is not that bad anymore given the value of these things. Like, you're paying a lot for them, so the maintenance portion is smaller, but still.
Next one. I saw you smile. Is it because we're going fast, Max?
Yeah.
Campers.
Oh, I wonder who this picture provided. Ooh,
you know what?
This picture's all over the internet, by the way.
Is that a BB?
Right. All the cars in here, I could have picked a thumbnail from our YouTube channel, which is this YouTube channel. Campers. Mike, do you want to talk about campers? You got a few notes there, but you complain about campers a lot in the office, so I'm going to let you handle this and release some steam.
Okay, but Max is going to give me the clock count and T-minus immediately.
This is an important one, though.
Yeah. Campers are tough. It's like buying a used car and a used house all in one, and the auctions don't do a good job of explaining the condition of the camper interior, which is
they don't do the camper part.
Right. They say it's uninspected. You might get 1 or 2 pictures. If the seller has chosen to give more pictures, then you might get a couple extra pictures, but by and large, you get nothing. So, what notes do you have for me here?
Do you want me to read them?
Big difference for a good one to a bad one. That's so true. It's I feel like there's 2 types of camper owners. You got the one who's like, I'm going to get into camping with my young family, and they go camping like 1 time. They maybe go camping 5 times. It's like a once a year thing, and the camper is pretty much pristine. Or you've got the people who are like, I live and breathe camping. Every second that I'm not working, I'm camping.
And fishing.
Right. And then you get the camper and it's full of fish guts, fish smell. It's full of mold, and it's full of corrosion, and it's full of like weeping cabinets and sagging cabinets, and they're all gross and they're completely used up, and you have to strip the interior. Those are like the 2 types of campers that you get. And you don't know.
There is in-betweenies, but there's not a lot of in-betweenies. It seems like those 2 are the 80% of all purchases fall into one of those 2. Yeah. And the thing is, it's very hard to pick which campers are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones, because the auctions aren't made for selling campers. They're made for selling cars that have non-house things inside the cars, right?
You want to know if the fridge is working. You want to know if the shower is working. You want to know if all the tanks aren't cracked. And
the tires probably haven't been replaced. That's the next thing, is maintenance is often not done on campers because the person is only using it for a week per year, and maintenance is expensive. So these cars can go years without being maintained. Yeah. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, because people are like, well, I drove like, I don't know, 1,000 kilometers for the last camping trip. What, you want me to do like a full service? Why?
No, when you get back from camping, you're usually like, I'm tired.
Yeah. And they're not going to unpack the camper.
They don't unpack the camper, right?
That's why we get them at auction. They're full of like rags and like dishcloths.
Very often,
and,
yeah. We found them with cans of food and stuff.
Yeah. Gosh. I will say also... Oh, sorry.
Question in the chat, but
Yeah, let's hit it.
Greg was asking, do more stickers on the back of it indicate the type of owner?
Yes.
There's something about campers in Japan that love stickers. The Patagonia and the North Face, and it's like, I'm a camper and I'm letting it be known.
That's the, I'm using this thing, and be careful if you get that because you're stripping the interior.
Okay, so DIY mods on the interior.
This is probably the number one concern, I would say.
So
maybe not number one. There's so many big
I don't know if this is being prejudiced against the culture of Japan, but I find that DIY quality is lacking in Japan. I think that most people in Japan don't do DIY stuff because the culture says get a professional to do it. That's the normal way of doing it, which is very different from back home, especially if you grew up kind of like below middle class. You can't afford for people to do stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just natural. You paint your own house kind of thing. But that's just not done so much here in Japan. So the knowledge base of you learned it from your dad, who learned it from his dad kind of thing just doesn't exist to the same level here.
Because your dad hired a professional, and when you go to him asking for advice, he's like, hire a professional. That's what I did.
And so the people who are DIYing are the people who don't make good life decisions very much.
Or who overestimate their ability.
I'm digging digging myself into a hole a little bit because sure there are some people, like this isn't a blanket statement, but your average DIY here I find is pretty low quality.
Yeah, I feel like it's a means to an end kind of thing. Not like I'm going to take pride in doing this and do it well. And I think that's changing now, but for these era of campus that we're looking at, it is people being like, fuck it, I'll save some money.
Did you just say the fuck word?
No, I didn't. Did you? Whoops, slipped out.
I have been trying so hard not to say it, and you let it slip the first one. And we're doing merch now with shirts that say Mike likes to fuck.
Yes, please, I'll buy all of them. Be the only shirt I wear for the rest of my life. Electrical problems, people trying to do their own wiring and their own like God. Oh, I want actually to have this little coffee maker in my thing, and there's no provisions for a coffee maker, so I've wired one in, and guess what, that broke everything else. It's a bird's
but not
nest of
until
wiring.
Derek and Mike try to export it, then it breaks.
Right.
We've had a camper engine blow while driving. You've told the story before.
Yeah.
Mike got to push a camper through an intersection.
Not fun. I think because, again, like they're not used for so long, just like the Hiaces.
Max, it's important. Stop pointing at the clock.
And then they finally get driven to auction and then get driven out of auction and start needing to be exported, and then you get all of the stuff just comes out.
And we're exporting mostly 15 to 25-year-old campers, which are being sold because they're at the end of their life.
Yeah.
The thing is, campers are great markup for those who know how to do it. So if you know how to redo things inside a camper and make it good, this can be a great benefit for you, but you really need to know your stuff.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get burnt hard.
Yeah.
Okay, Max, we're going on to the next thing. You happy?
Okay. Yeah.
Then next one's about you. That's not the next one. We didn't get a picture for the next one.
Oh.
What?
Okay, this is on me. Okay, the next one is about German cars.
Are saggy? What?
There's something about the humidity in Japan that sags the headliners in German cars. It's on so many of them. I think it was Max that said that it might have something to do with the eco kind of glue that's required in Europe.
I think we looked it up even. That the glue is different and certain things are not allowed to be processed in Europe. So...
Yeah, Japan's heat cycles are pretty crazy. You get freezing winters and then hot, humid summers.
The humidity is intense.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have that kind of weather in Canada at all.
Yeah.
Even though in Canada, like, so I'm from Kelowna. I don't know if anyone's listening. Kelowna gets past 40 degrees regularly. Like 43 degrees, even up to 45 at the very, very top, right? And it feels nothing like Japan does when it's like 37 and high humidity here.
Yeah.
It's just gross.
This morning, when I walked here, 8 a.m. was already at 8 a.m. it was as hot as it would get in Germany on the hottest day.
Yeah.
And like at 8 a.m. it's like 30 degrees. And then hottest part of the day is 32 degrees. So you don't get that respite where your house can cool down overnight. It just stays hot.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it as well in New Zealand in shoulder seasons and maybe even like early summer. You would carry a jumper in the car because at night it gets much colder if you're going out. So
yeah,
just not a thing here. The only place I've woke up in the world where I've woke up sweating. It's a weird feeling. I'm like, nighttime is cold time.
Right.
Don't want to wake up in a puddle of sweat.
Yeah.
I slept without AC during summer one time.
Greg, pricing of campers, Greg, once they're 15 years old, the good ones / the bad ones, very big differences. On the bad side, 500,000 can get you a camper.
Yeah.
It's going to be seriously gross. On the good side, 4 million yen for a camper, and it's going to be really awesome.
Yeah.
Hard to say. And we, for some time, stopped selling campers because there's so much extra work on top of a regular car. And at the moment, we have a dedicated extra fee for campers as a result of that.
Yeah. They're just almost guaranteed to break down, especially at the low end.
And
in the worst
sitting in grass and rusting on the underside. These campers sit for 10 months in the year, most of the time, on gravel with grass underneath that's just keeping things humid and rusting.
Yeah.
Bigger rust problems on campers than anything else. Next one, which we do have a picture of, and oh my gosh, I love the 60 series.
Me too. Very much me too.
Love it so
Why
much.
didn't we get a picture of the brown one with the orange decals and everything? That's my favorite. That's cool
sorry.
Too, okay.
40 series, 60 series, and 70 series in particular. These are the ones that kind of ended in the 80s / early 90s. They are old enough that rust is a problem, but popular enough that people try to keep them alive longer than other types of cars, which means, this is the big one, body filler city. A lot of shops in Japan, especially kind of 10 years ago, but even so today, would buy the ones that are rusty, and then they would just like wire wheel all the rust off, the body filler on, paint it, and then send it to auction. Not sell it at a dealership, because if you sell it at a dealership, people are going to maybe notice that it's a little bit crummy, and then they aren't going to be able to sell it. They'll send it to auction, where the auction pictures can't explain the extent very well. You have marks like W2, W3 on the auction inspection sheet, but that doesn't really tell you exactly how bad it is, and it could have had a giant corrosion hole, especially 40 series, that has just been, put tape on, put body filler on, put paint on. Look at my new car. Yeah. And so when you're buying from auction, these are extremely high risk cars. The 60 series, I think in the last 2 or 3 years, has become more difficult, but my gosh, is it ever one of my favorites. Another thing with the Land Cruisers is poor maintenance, which is weird because they're very reliable cars. And so I think people take advantage of the fact that they don't have to maintain them. So we see ones that haven't had a coolant change in 20 years, 25 years.
Yuck.
Yeah. I think the type of nowadays there is a change, it's become a bit of a hipster mobile here to have a classic Toyota 4x4, but
flexed.
Right. Yeah. Before that became so popular, they were usually owned by a type of person who, they need dependable transportation. They think it's cool. It's more of I don't know. I got a picture in my mind of the type of person, but like a laid back kind of it's fine, whatever. I'll maintain it when I get some time. Yeah. I'll smoke a joint. We're in Japan, so probably not smoking the joint, but this type of, I don't really care about things. But now that they become a hipster mobile, they're more likely to be maintained.
I also think as some of these owners got older, some of the maintenance fell off as they became less able or became busy with other stuff. I didn't think of.
Grant says transmission and diff leaks are a thing. I think he sees that on auction sheets a lot. I don't think it's leaking enough that it's become a concern. I think it just seeps a lot, and then the inspector's like, oh, leaking diff. I don't think your gears are broken inside. And Land Cruisers around the world have plenty of parts and plenty of aftermarket, so they're easy to keep alive as long as the rust isn't a problem. One other thing about the lockers. You want to talk?
Oh, yeah. Not so much for the 60, right? They had triple lockers?
The 60 had optional lockers, but they're very rare. And the 40 also had optional lockers, but the 70 is really the one we're talking about.
Okay. I see it more for the 80 series and the 70 series. Right. But everyone wants the top spec for the lockers, which is triple locking diffs.
What's triple locking diffs?
You can lock the front diff, the rear diff, and the mid diff, and then different combinations of the two or of the three. But I don't exactly know
Right. You can't lock only the front and the center.
Right.
So the center has to be locked for the other two lockers to work. And the other two lockers are the rear and the front. So you can either lock the center and the rear, or the center only, or the center, the rear, and the front, but never the front by itself.
Okay.
So it's not completely mix and match.
Lucky we have an expert on hand.
Basically, the lockers are like, they don't allow the tires to rotate at different speeds. And you only use this for off-road.
Right.
But the locking differentials was an option. It was a semi-rare option because it was kind of expensive and people wouldn't need it unless they're actually going real off-roading. Because the Land Cruisers, they're very capable without the lockers.
Yeah.
But they are
For sure.
world-changing with the lockers.
Yeah.
They are amazing.
Yeah. And I think with most people who are buying these Land Cruisers, they're willing to spend a larger amount of money and they want the best one. The best one is regarded as the ones with the triple locking diffs.
And we love getting those emails. I want a
Right.
Land Cruiser with
We
a
get
triple locking diff.
All the time. The difficulty is that it's very difficult to see from auction if it has triple locking diffs. Either the seller will write it on the auction sheet as a sales point, and that means they know that it's popular. They know the Land Cruiser enough to be like, it has the good thing that everyone wants. We know that. Or they don't write anything, and you just have to look for that little switch which is on the left of the driver's, left of the steering wheel. That's very difficult to see in the picture, so usually you need to get an inspection. If you're getting all of these cars inspected and you're never finding with differentials, it just costs a lot of money. So it's tough to like nail down if you really want the triple lockers, and we'll obviously warn you about that. We've warned probably hundreds of people at this
We
point.
probably have a cut and paste to send to everyone about the,
Yeah.
the locking diffs.
We've bought Land Cruisers which have no notes and they've come with the triple locking diffs. You can get them with like...
That's so cool.
Yeah. You can get them with others, right? Like, is it just front and rear? Or like it's just...
There is so all of them come with a center locking diff.
Right.
All of them do. There is an optional rear locking diff and an optional rear plus front locking diff. So they're two different levels.
Yeah. So, I mean, the seller might just write locking diffs, and then you're like, well, which one?
And
we don't know.
And when they write that, it's probably only going to be the center one.
Right. Because if they had all three, then they would want the extra money for
Some of the sellers don't know, right? They don't know if it's worth anything extra. So they'll just say locking diffs, and it could be, it could not be.
Yeah.
Who knows? And this is why it's so difficult.
Yeah.
If you need them and you don't want to go through the pain of trial and error to try to get them, which honestly would be very difficult, you're probably looking at one at a dealership. Because you're going to pay more for it, but you can immediately tell if it has the locking diffs or not.
Yeah. What do we got next?
Next is...
We're running out of time, too. Ooh, never mind.
We have half an hour left in the show.
Turn your eyes to the screen and see.
This one looks so bad just in that picture, but it sold for $18,000 US.
I see, like, the body line is all wavy. Is that a trick of the
and the paint job around the wheel arches?
Yeah.
It's like they just drew with a pencil.
It looks like the fenders were like cut and rolled, and then they try to put them back. Oh no, they're still.
I will say I was just at an 8.6 event this weekend. None of them were this bad.
But an 8.6 event is going to be the cream of the crop mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly, but many of them were also not good.
Because most of them are not good.
Yes.
Most of them that exist are not good. So the big problem with the 8.6 is a lot of people love them. Of course, Initial D. They're not good value for money unless you get a lot of that value from the image of the car and you're willing to pay for that. These are hyper expensive. This ratty one was $18,000 US. They're expensive around the world.
They're purely a nostalgia trip now, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my car is too. My car, I spent a good amount for it. It doesn't handle very well. It's not very fast, but it's cool. And that's why I want it.
Yeah.
Same thing with the 8.6.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah.
They made a ton of these though, right?
In Japan, they made a ton. They used to be a lot easier to find. Tons of them were exported to Ireland for some reason. Very expensive. Almost all of them have either been raced, drifted, engine swapped, modified to within a hair of their existence. Rust is a huge problem on them. Parts is still fairly easy to get for them, except for interior parts. And the reason for that is because when you went to race your car 25 or 30 years ago, you took the interior out. Oh, this is worthless. Garbage.
Yikes.
And so the parts just don't exist. This happens to all the old cars. You can repair body, you can repair an engine, but where are you going to get the parts from? I guess 3D printing now is going to become how you get your parts for interior.
You had one. You have a big love for
my
these.
wife had 2 of them, and I used to drive it delivering pizzas for a year, and it is so good to drive. Huge difference. So I've got the old version of this, right? The Corolla 11 from 1972, and the one that we drove was in 1986, so it's only 12 years difference, but the difference in driving is like night and day. This 86 is way more modern, even though if you drive this nowadays, you're like, wow, this is old.
I still want to drive one. I want to have the opportunity to experience it.
I think you need to experience it long term, though. Just driving it. Well, when we went, sorry, Max, when we went to buy this one, I had never driven anything that gave me the feeling. I said it as soon as I got out of the car. This is the only car I've ever driven that I feel like the car is saying, I want you to keep driving me.
Wow.
It was my first experience like that.
Yeah.
It was just the feeling of, this was in the year 2000, I think. 2001?
Yeah.
2001, I think. Back when they were still kind of attainable in a semi-car-like shape and condition.
I imagine it was a very different world back then.
One of our friends in Japan has one of these. It's a little bit ratty, but he loves it, and right?
Yes.
This is Max's friend.
Yeah.
And yeah, they are fantastic cars, but yeah, you're paying a lot for them, and they have a lot of issues. So don't think that Japan is your dream 8.6 place where you're going to import a really cheap one that's in good condition.
And a ton of them are still missing interiors, even if they've tried to be restored, just like you said. So,
Can I do a little anecdote?
Yes?
The 8.6 meet that I went to was on Mount Haruna, so the mountain where Initial D plays. And then after the meet, everyone went up and down the Initial D road, and it was exclusively new 8.6s and old 8.6s. 8.6s. Best image I ever had on anything in Japan.
Especially being a fan of those, because you had a new 8.6, right?
Yes. Yeah.
everyone's just like there on their nostalgia trip, being like,
Everyone
"Oh,
was
this is
like,
fun!"
hello.
Yeah, what a great time.
Speaking
I
of
love that.
cars that are in the same category, the S13 and the S14 Silvias.
Next picture? Is
Yeah.
that next picture? Okay.
Grant said the S13s are getting harder to buy than 8.6s, which is a little bit weird.
Wow.
And of course, these ones are drifted even more than 8.6s are because they've got the turbo 2-liter engine with enough power to go drifting. An 8.6, although it's the iconic popular drift car, just isn't as good at drifting. It's got a shorter wheelbase. It doesn't have the power. It has the reliability, but it's, you know, S13s.
Yeah.
They're bad. Interior bits, cracked dashboards, not running well, problem modifications. These are issue cars at the moment.
I want to say a lot of these were probably exported as well. All over New Zealand, all over Australia.
UK, Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They never really caught on so strongly in the US and Canada because they had already gotten really rare and expensive by the time those were legal.
Yeah.
I mean, more of them in Canada, but still, we had the S13 in Canada and the S14 in Canada, so they weren't seen as exclusive as some of the JDM spec versions of cars, I suppose. Next one after that, air-cooled Porsches.
Oh, yes.
People I don't know what it is, but everyone who wants to buy one of these from Japan automatically thinks you can buy them for half the price. We have like a revolving door of people coming in saying, I want to get a Porsche 911, sending their deposit in, and then backing out after several months when they realize that they can't buy one for half the price of what they sell for.
Right.
These are one of those cars that have a worldwide price. If you want to buy one of these anywhere in the world, buy them from Japan. This is the best place to buy them for because there are tons of them in great condition. There's a great assortment of them. They're maintained well. They are great cars, but you're not going to get them for the, cheap cheater price.
Yeah.
People aren't dumb. They know you can get them from Japan. So another thing too is that these ones, they're an old air-cooled Porsche. You might not realize this. They don't have a head gasket. Did you know that?
I didn't.
They have a head gasket ring. It's a little metal ring that clamps into a recessed thing between the individual heads, one per cylinder on these.
Oh gosh.
And if it starts leaking there, you rebuild the engine. So you see an oil leak on the auction sheet. Chance you're going to spend $20,000 in rebuilding the engine. So do keep that in mind.
Do we ever see roofs at auction?
Every once in a while, yeah. You see a lot of them that are roof look, but you do see actual roof cars every once in a while. They're huge money though. We're talking $400,000 or $300,000 for them.
Yeah.
Even more, actually. Could be more. I haven't looked
I
at
know
prices recently,
nothing
but the
about these.
CTRs are huge money.
Yeah.
Mega money.
Yeah.
They're just wildly popular. I think someone in the chat just said best time to buy one was 30 years ago. I remember like 10 years ago, I had a friend in New Zealand who bought one strictly as an investment, and I was like, what? Why are you spending 50 grand on this? And then he got like full repaint, everything, and ended up selling it for, I think, I don't know, maybe double.
Wow.
After, yeah. But he rented it out, and he...
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's cool.
It was interesting, but I was like, whoa.
I gotta say that the 911s really have something special. For the time that they came out, there was nothing that felt as well put together and as good as the 911s, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, 70s Porsche, a really good driver's car. 70s Corolla 11, a cool style car, and you put up with terrible handling.
Yeah.
I will have more insight on my Corolla after our road trip. I'm very much looking forward. I'm not looking forward to either me holding you up or you leaving me in the dust, because your car can go twice the speed as mine.
I can always pull over somewhere and
This is supposed to be a road trip together, okay?
Yeah. I'll be chilling.
Next one, R32 Skyline. Infamous dashboard bubbling. It is on nearly all of them, and I think you're probably paying $2,500 to $3,000 to get a non-warped dashboard for one of these. The more I look at them, the more I love the R32s, especially a well put together, nice clean one.
Yeah.
I think that they are great. They are the classic one here in Japan. And when the new ones came out, they were appreciated, but a lot of people have a soft spot for the first ones because they were the game changer.
Yeah. The Godzilla.
Engines feeling old. After driving probably 100 of these, there's a big difference in how the engines feel between a good one and a bad one. The good ones are iconic. There's almost nothing that feels as good as these engines, but when they feel bad, it's like, I feel like some people are like, why do people love this car so much? I drove one and it wasn't that good. And like, if you drive a bad one, that might be the case, but a good one, it's just very unique. The ITBs with the turbo, with the heavy clutch, and the way that the RPM feels, and the chassis twist, just enough to make it feel exciting.
Yeah. I think they can start to feel like tired and kind of slouchy after a while, in all aspects, when you get one that's probably been hammered on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the feeling of these with camshafts too. Gotta say, the camshaft, like I'm not a big fan of camshaft tuning, but the R32 is one that I like it on.
Weird thing, I don't like the seating position. You're up.
For me, it's perfect.
Really?
That's
I feel like the
interesting.
floor is at a weird height. Like, I either want to be more back or something. It feels like the floor is weirdly high. Like you should be lower in the car without, I don't know. This is something weird. I can't put my finger on it. Every time I get in them, I'm like, this does feel weird. I remember. I know. Weird anecdote. Sorry, Max.
1JZ turbo cars. So there are
That is a 1JZ turbo car.
Mitsubishis and rust on the underside. Evos and the AYC system. The AYC system is the torque vectoring system. It goes when you go around corners.
Okay.
That was exactly what it sounds like.
Okay. I believe
You might have to rebuild your AYC system. Not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
Okay. Nissans and rust. Skyline, S13, S14, S15, strut tower.
Derek's so funny.
Rust around the rear glass. Grant told me about this. Apparently you have to replace the entire rear end if you've got rust around the rear glass on those, because they rust from the inside out. I didn't know that. Strut towers has to do with how hard you drive the car. Strut tower braces actually help cure this or prevent it from happening. But yeah, same thing. The front strut towers, if they have rust, they have to be replaced to fully fix it. You can do a little bit of a touch up on them. You're only extending the life on your car a little bit. Eventually that car is done because of the strut towers rusting. 1JZ turbo cars.
I will say, I think what you meant for that picture there is those Nissans of that era are all rusty. Like, they all suffer from
Nissan
elevated
and
levels of
Mitsubishi
rust.
used poor metal.
Yeah.
They just did.
Yeah.
Nobody else rusts as bad as they do. 1JZ turbo cars. This is Chaser, Mark II, Cresta, Soarer, Crown, and Mark III Supra. Their engines, the 1JZ, one of the best engines ever made.
Agreed. Love them.
Problem is, parts are getting skimpy. You cannot get all of the parts for them. They tend to have issues with running properly. Like there's some like
Usually due to
computer
the owner's
issues,
fault.
sensor issues, idle air control
that's
valve
true.
issues.
Yeah.
These sorts of things can become niggly, and they don't have parts for them. You have to find a used one and pray that it works. Some of them, idle air control valves, I don't think you can rebuild very easily. I think maybe some specialty shops do it. It's not easy to find a shop that'll rebuild that for you.
Yeah.
It's getting more and more difficult to find one that runs super nicely, which is a shame because there's something very, very good about these engines.
And they're always modified, and not usually in a good way. They were modified for power, and everything else was just a...
But they're so cool.
Side.
Wasn't it you that said
Yes.
that these cars, no matter what the condition is, they're still friggin' awesome?
Yeah, I love them. I don't know. It's like a broken part of my brain. I jump in one that's been fully drifted and crashed, and I'm like, woohoo! I love it! And then Grant's in the car with me being like, we're going to die. We're going to die. And I'm like, no, this is just how they sound.
We're going to die sideways.
Yeah.
And
They're
deformed
fantastic.
dashboards is very common for these. Next one, Crown from the 180 series or the 160 series. IS250, GS250 is late 2000s, early 2010s. These have a big problem with dashboards. Nearly all of them have cracked dashboards, which otherwise is a shame because they're fantastic vehicles. They went to a V6 for this generation, which kind of sucks because the 1Js were really great,
Yeah.
but do what you
go
have
with
to.
the times.
The
Emissions.
Toyota doesn't do inline 6 cylinders, but yeah, dashboards are a problem on these. Otherwise, really easy to buy, pretty cheap, great looking cars.
Yeah. If we go back one to minis, I think that's a pretty important one to talk about.
Oh, those pictures were just in the wrong order. Probably my fault, Max.
Okay.
Minis.
All right.
Very hard to buy. This is an expert level car. There are so many different versions of minis, different engines, different types of modifications that change the price. We can help you with it.
No.
Derek
You can help
with
people.
it.
Yeah. Grant and I have tried to understand minis and all of the modifications, and there's just too many. So what I usually tell customers is
Talk to Derek or mess off.
I say like you need to know these yourself inside and out. You have got to have poured yourself
And
into
bring
the
money.
research.
Like,
that too, yeah. The
you
value
need to
of
be a
some-
mini enthusiast, or you need to be going in the dark.
Yeah.
And why did that one sell for twice the price of that other one that
Yeah.
looked the same?
Yeah.
Well,
then
they
Derek
aren't
will
the
be-
same.
Derek will be like, oh, it's got like the 4-hub conversion, or it's got the special
There's no
like
4-hub conversion.
I don't know. There's everything with these things.
Do you know what year this one is?
No, I have no idea. They're all the same.
I will not flex on my knowledge on these because you say this. Now I'm going to get all these emails. I'm not going to be able to do any other work.
Good. No, what we tell
Just know
people
you're
is-
playing on hard mode.
Yeah, we tell people you're playing on hard mode. You got to know these yourself. We can try to check with Derek, but we just not that good.
Maseratis and Ferraris, but more so Maseratis because people don't maintain them as well.
At all, I think you meant to say.
The interiors have interiors of any hypercar are going to be made poorly because they don't have the economies of scale by having 30,000 of the cars or 300,000 of the cars to make. They're usually made pretty poorly. Maseratis in particular get sticky buttons, which is really gross.
Yeah.
You touch them and
Yuck.
yeah. Several things are wrong with these. They're very expensive to repair in Japan, so get your wallet out if you want to buy one of these. Maseratis in Japan, ultra cheap. Many of them will break before we can
ultra
export
broken,
them.
ultra gross.
They're just terrible cars. I
They
think.
were like the cheap version of the supercar, right? For like,
you mean like this one,
Of a
the
Ferrari.
Gran Turismo,
Yeah, like
Quattroporte.
people bought them for like the presence or the prestige of them, and then we're like, they cost how much to maintain? F that, I'm not doing it. And then they're like, well, now I need to sell it, and they're worth peanuts, and they haven't been maintained.
Yeah. Next one,
They
town.
sound great.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say. Sorry.
Somebody said it's like the most
Efficient way to
Efficient-
turn money into sound
Noise?
or something. Into noise. Yeah, that's a Harley Davidson saying, but totally applies for Maserati.
the Town Ace. Very, very cool vans. Get the gasoline one. The diesels, and I'm not one to perpetuate rumors, but the diesel ones have head gasket problems and cracked head problems. They just do. The next one, 2.4 liter Hiluxes. They are known for having cracked head problems and overheating problems.
I did not know that.
That's not my experience. This is one of those cases where I think the internet is not wrong, but needs more information on it. These vehicles were meant for markets that aren't going to run the vehicle very hard. Here in Japan, you're not... Where I live in Canada, to drive from where I live 4 hours to Vancouver, you have to travel over a mountain range. You will be traveling for an hour and a half uphill on a grade of like 9 degrees or something like that. If you drive one of these on that mountain, you're putting it in a position that it was never meant to experience.
Yeah.
You'll be flooring it uphill constantly, and it's just not made for that. In the Japanese mountain roads, they're usually very slow. You're traveling 20 kilometers an hour up a winding, narrow road, and you're not putting the same sort of stresses on it. I feel like the overheating, the cracked head gasket, yes, you can argue that there is a design flaw in it. There's a kink in the coolant passage that kind of perpetuates this. But these engines have 200,000, 400,000, 500,000 kilometers in Japan without head gasket problems.
Yeah.
So if you are going to get one of these for export, put an oil cooler in it. A big one, you're probably going to be okay.
I have to say, that's a pretty common warning we give people in Canada and the Pacific Northwest, right? People in the Rockies kind of area. If you're buying a car with like the 2-liter engine or something, and it's a camper.
Oh,
or
the
it's a bigger
campers have
truck.
tiny engines here sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even the
that's not...
Delicas, right? They struggle a little.
Oil cooler, big radiator sometimes.
Yeah.
Oil cooler for the transmission too. For some of those campers, they'll need it. Okay, Subaru Sambar, the K car that we have the most problems with. They come supercharged sometimes, and people love the fact that you can get a supercharged 4-cylinder K vehicle, 4-wheel drive. The superchargers lose their power over time, so they don't really feel that fast. We've had mechanical problems with brakes and with power steering and with the sunroof not working and the doors not closing properly. Subaru made these fairly cheap. They weren't made to last. They're very cool with a glass roof, but people didn't take care of them very well. They were super cheap. When we first started getting into this, you could get these for $300. They're a lot more expensive now because there's more desire for them, especially since they're legal to the USA. Rust is a problem on them, which is weird because Subarus usually don't have rust problems. Oil leaks are common. We have a ton of them that break before export.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see this one. It looks like a fresh import. It's still got the stuff on the glass.
Oh, right.
The paint looks bad and redone. I can see corrosion from here. It's what
it looks
most
like
of
so
them
many
are
of the
like.
Sambars that you can import.
Yeah.
Next is K cars in general. I picked this one because the AltaWorks
Very
is
cool.
friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
And this looks very similar to the one that I had for the video in the old JDM Auction Hunters that we did several years ago.
Oh.
Had similar size tires and similar style. Very cool car. Love them to death. K cars made to be disposable cars.
Yeah.
Not made to last 25 years. Owners didn't take care of them enough. They were made out of cheaper materials. Expect them to need work and effort. Don't get in an accident in them, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the struggle now with the values being so high, like the risk is elevated because you're putting a lot of money into something that wasn't supposed to last as long as it has.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, in Japan, 25% of men smoke cigarettes. How do you like that stat? You want to buy a car, but you don't want one that's been smoked in? Stay away from this list of cars because they are commonly smoked in.
I'm sure that stat also used to be a lot higher too.
Oh, yes.
That might be
sure.
now, but used to probably be 60%.
6% of females. 25% of males. Yeah. Because
Ask us how we know?
Women are smarter.
Women, yeah.
I'm saying that as Makiko's leaving.
Yeah.
I don't know if she smokes or not, actually. I don't think she does. Land Cruisers. Anything old, well, all Land Cruisers, but especially anything older than the 100 series. Yeah. I got a picture of a drift car, so we'll talk about that. Any drift modified cars, especially one that looks like this.
Yeah.
Those guys are so cool.
Yeah.
And if you want to be cool, you gotta smoke cigarettes in Japan.
The doors here, and their heads about... Sorry.
Oh,
if
right.
that was out. Their head's about here. They're leaned all the way back, and they're just looking at you like...
And smoked in heavily, too.
Yeah.
Other
Cigarette
cars...
damage everywhere. Headliner.
I think the most smoked in vehicle in Japan is the Mitsubishi Delica.
I agree.
Pajeros are also up there. Suzuki Jimny, especially the modified ones.
Yeah.
It goes along with that. I'm a cool person. I need a cool car and I need to smoke.
Yeah.
Because I'm cool.
You know, it's lucky scooters are open air here, because the amount of times I see people with a cigarette
true.
in their mouth while they're like driving,
Scooting?
crazy.
VIP styled cars, VIP. If you don't know what that means, it's usually big body sedans, but also minivans with giant wheels on them and lowered right down to the ground. The minivans, if they style like that, they usually have stupid curtains on the side, so you can't do a shoulder check.
All of the junction.
But who needs to
produce
shoulder check? Because everyone
things.
get out of my way, because I'm cooler than you guys.
Yeah.
Almost always smoked in. Big body cars like the Celsior, the Crown, oftentimes smoked in as well if they've been VIP modified. Toyota Hiace. And the last one. Anything that's over 215 centimeters is going to be take longer to ship.
Yeah, tall vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because the vessels, I don't know if many people know this, so quick explanation, because Max, we're drastically over time.
We're gonna miss
have to
auction
skip
dealer
auction
picks.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Tall vehicles. So the Ro-Ro vessels have height adjustable floors, and they adjust the floors based on the cargo that they're carrying. So sometimes the vessels will have less spaces for tall vehicles. That means that they just don't have.
It's more
the
economical,
allocation.
right?
Yeah, they're filling the vehicle with other cars. So with extra tall vehicles like that, they're usually stored in a special location. There's less spaces for those special locations depending on the vessel. So sometimes you might have to skip 1 or 2, sometimes even 3 vessels if it's peak season and space is hard to come by. So keep it in mind.
This Canter, we've exported a few of these. The fire truck ones, they're amazing. They are so tall. You don't realize it, but like me standing next to them, I might be able to peer into the bottom section of that side window. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's how big they are. It's
They
so
look
cool.
so badass. They look like those Dakar rally trucks
Right?
that they do.
Rally raid vehicles.
Rally raid? Is that? That's
Yeah.
awesome. That also, the shipping caveat, that does depend on where you are. Canada is usually pretty good, not too much trouble. The USA has been good as of recent. We've had problems to Europe frequently. We had a coaster that we tried to ship for 13 months, Grant has just said, and the customer ended up having to pull the plug because they just could not get space for shipping there.
That was when it was
terrible.
otherwise really difficult to ship to.
It was
there anyway.
Yeah, it was like the most difficult time to ship vehicles, and then that was an extra tall vehicle, and it's just zero space.
Okay, we're done that. We can you guess if we went over time or not?
Max has an expression that tells me we went over time, and his warnings
Max?
were ignored.
Max loves doing the show, though, right, Max?
I do.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
How is it working with us doing this show? Give us a one-word answer.
I have a question, Max. Instead of answering the question for Mike, answer my question because I'm theoretically your boss.
Theoretically.
Theoretically. Oh, that's new. That's new to me.
Max, theoretically, I am your boss.
Oh.
Not true.
Okay, you can answer the question. I thought it would be funny to interrupt Mike, but then it doesn't feel that funny anymore. Go ahead and answer Mike's question.
How is it working with Derek and I on the show?
Thank you for repeating that. I almost already forgot.
Love it.
Team ADHD.
Yeah. No, it's fun.
Fun. Max,
the
describe...
guys who watch the show, they don't get to know this, but every morning we scramble preparing this, and sometimes
So you damn well better appreciate this.
That's because we're busy buying cars for you.
Yeah.
Our loyal and wonderful viewers. Now, if we compliment them, they have to compliment us, right?
I think the chemistry between Derek and Mike is very funny and informative at the same time.
I'll
And I
take
hope
that.
You guys think that too.
All right.
Yes.
Nice.
My
Usually
question to
offer
you,
me high fives.
when's the next video coming out for Drives Japan? Because we didn't talk about Drives Japan at all. We skipped that.
Yeah, but wait. Q&A.
Oh, look at this. In the comments section, somebody's asking, his name is Derek Weld, and he's asking, when is the next video coming out, Max?
So we recorded the voiceover for the next race video yesterday. And maybe on the weekend?
Maybe this weekend?
Maybe this weekend?
This is our best video yet. It has the longest voiceover. We worked on the voiceover just like for an hour shooting that.
Yeah. More
than an hour.
Yeah.
Right? It has quite possibly the second best scripting that we've done. It has some good moments. There's this one take that I did where I laughed while I was saying that, and Max is like, I'm going to take that.
Okay.
because he thought it fits well for it.
It's kind of fun for me with the videos being from so long ago. I've forgotten everything that happened, but then when I watch it, I'm like, oh, it's brand new. This
was our first crash. First crash.
PCA crashes their car this weekend.
And then the second one was the Vitz. And the third one was the Alto Works.
No spoilers.
Little spoilers.
The Roadster didn't have any spoiler after the crash.
Did we? We went off the track in the Impreza, but we didn't crash into somebody, I don't think. I crashed into a pole in the Lupo GTI.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Which pole?
I didn't even know that I did it until we looked at the video afterwards. We saw the damage on the side, and we were like, somebody crashed into us, and we didn't even notice it.
Oh, I vaguely remember this now.
It was
driving into a pole.
It was you in the pit, on the pit exit.
The pit exit is really narrow, right?
Yeah.
And I went to pull onto the track, and I just... Yeah.
Oopsie.
There was like a wire hanging down, and it was like going like this in front of my windshield. So I was like trying to tuck it up as we were like trying to get into the track because, we didn't want to lose time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I drove into a pole.
Okay.
Q&A.
Questions. Chat questions. We don't have any, or do you want to?
Who's got questions?
We had one comment in the comment section. We might as well go to it. Someone was being pedantic, and we want to slap them down.
Okay.
Go ahead and do it.
You can read it.
Or do you want to look for more questions and I can read this?
That would be ideal.
Oh, ideal.
I like that.
Thank you. Okay, question from Leto18 from the last show.
And speaking in reference to the prices of things in Japan.
Last episode we talked about a whole bunch of different prices. He said this topic needs a part 2, considering when it comes to the cost of living, then shelter could be a big factor. So I guess the price of homes, how much to rent an apartment in Japan compared to North America, or what are house prices like? Also salary for working families, unemployment rate, how much. This is a big question. Not really something we cover on the show. How much
would somebody with unemployment receive on social assistance and welfare?
I don't know. We're a car channel. We don't do well with unemployment, and we need our money for cars.
There's also a lot of that information that the foreigner community doesn't know because we don't do social assistance and welfare here.
Yeah, I think you just get kicked out. They're like, bye.
Sorry, go home.
Either you earn money for Japan or you out. Yeah, that's beyond the scope of what we can really talk about. If it sounds like you're thinking of moving to Japan, you probably have to do different research into people who are...
Right,
who can provide you with a better
Of course, we're dabbling also in economics because we're not really economists.
Yeah.
We're just telling an opinion of something that we've figured out.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, most of the people watching the show will live in countries which are not in Japan, and that's why they're buying cars for export from Japan.
The whole idea was like, wow, look at how cheap stuff is in Japan.
Yeah.
Haha. And that was the extent of the thought.
Yeah.
Okay, chat questions. Mr. Lau, I think he's in the UK, is asking, do you export any Fiat 500s or Abarths?
We haven't ever. But there are tons of them in Japan if you want one, but they don't see it. There seems to be tons of them in other countries as well. So if you want one, buy one. But I'd love to poke around in one. I've always thought they're kind of cool. I like the small cars that are sporty. They also sound like...
They sound way bigger than they are. I remember when I first started seeing them, I was like, what's that? And then I would always be this tiny little egg. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
That guy must have a sick exhaust. And then I'd see like 100 in them. And I was
the stock exhaust is all burbly and stuff on the Abarth ones.
So, in short, we have not exported any yet, but we can.
Yeah.
Right? Cool.
It's up to you.
It's up to you. Your fate is in your own hands.
Code the Road is asking, when are we going to have a Gran Turismo play session between you guys?
Max is smiling now. You can't see him because he doesn't have the seniority to be on camera yet. But Max plays Gran Turismo frequently, right?
I haven't in a few.
And Max does the online time trials, and he got silver, which I am told is actually very hard to get.
Silver? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I would love to play Gran Turismo, but I haven't played it since Gran Turismo 4 before I moved to Japan because I don't have a PlayStation 4 or 5 or 3 or 2.
Do we want to do that on stream? It's kind of...
I would like to do some competition type stuff like that, but I'm not sure how well it would work out.
Okay. crazy idea. You guys always
Mike
have
is
this
always
reaction
coming
where you're
with a
like,
crazy
God
idea."
damn.
No, I
Okay.
like your ideas. The crazier the better. Bring it on.
Okay, so we all pick our own cars in Gran Turismo or
our-
another game that has it.
The actual cars that we
Right.
drive in real life.
Right. And
Okay.
then we drive on Mabara, try to get the best time. Then we take our
There's
real cars
no
to
Mobara.
Mabara.
There's no Mobara.
Yeah.
Okay, we make
There
a
is
new
an Assetto
game with
Corsa. Hold on. Our cars don't exist as mods in Assetto Corsa, do they?
Yes.
Grant says they do.
would probably, yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Then we take our real cars to the real track and try to do the real
You're
thing.
full
and
of good ideas.
See the comparison. It's also
Yeah.
very expensive and difficult, but
But it's cool.
it would be cool.
Drives Japan. Subscribe now.
Yeah, we need people to
But
to
also,
help fund this.
your experience of driving in Assetto Corsa would matter because it's very
Yeah.
sure there's a lot of
right.
crossover in skills, but like actually being in a car is very different from playing the game.
Yeah,
But that's a good comparison though, because you guys have more experience driving in the real world.
You and
I, for
Grant
example,
probably have more experience
in Assetto
online.
Corsa. So the theory would be we would be faster in Assetto Corsa than you guys, but slower in real life than you guys.
If we're driving our own cars, I guarantee I'll be the slowest.
But it would be like a PB thing, right?
Comparatively.
A comparative of
Oh, I
your
see.
time in Assetto Corsa versus thing. Plus, it would just be fun.
Okay, next question.
More questions.
What's
Um,
Sapito?
No idea.
Derek
Meme
has
dude
Sapito.
Says Derek has Sapito.
Who is meme dude CH and what
I
do
don't
you
think
mean?
I have Sapito.
What is Sapito?
Do I look like I have Sapito?
Kind of, actually. You do look a bit Sapitish today.
The name of the channel is Meme Dude, so you're probably saying something really bad right now.
Oh, I'm sorry if that's I don't understand the words, so I'm sorry if that's offensive.
Gregor was asking in relation to K-cars being not made out of good materials. Is that true for like the sports K-cars? S660, Beat, Cappuccino, cars like that.
Kind of, yeah.
I would say broadly speaking, K-cars they're designed to be more economical. The whole thing was they're supposed to be lower
They
cost,
were cheap. Even the
cheaper.
sports cars were cheap. They were
Yeah.
1.2 million yen.
Yeah. Like, you definitely don't buy a Cappuccino expecting it to be as well built as an RX-7 or something,
Yeah.
right? It's a
The metal is
trimmed down-
thinner. The engines are smaller. The interior is made of junk, basically.
Yeah, they're usually like,
It's okay, though. They're incredibly fun
Yeah.
cars.
yeah, the seats are always like more basic.
Yeah.
There's not as much
They suck
bolstering
usually.
or yeah. Didn't want to say that, but yeah. I love K-cars. I wish I fit in them. It's kind of sucky. Sapito is what they call AE86 in Puerto Rico.
Oh, cute.
So you are an AE86.
No, I have one, but I don't. I drove one. I like to say I had an 8.6 to make myself look cool, but the fact is I didn't have one. My wife had one. But if it weren't for me, she wouldn't have had one. I was like, you drive a 1986 Camry? How about a 1986 8.6? And then she's like, I don't know anything about cars. So I was like, watch,
do it.
yeah, watch this DVD. It's called Initial D. And then we watched the whole series
Oh,
together.
wow.
It was cute.
That is a very romantic
young
story.
Derek getting his wife into an 8.6. That
Through
was
anime.
okay. So I got to say something. I got into the 8.6 before Initial D was even known in the West. It was already in Japan, but it hadn't really come over. Nowadays, everybody knows about that because of the internet. And sure, we had the internet way back when, but it just wasn't the same place. People just didn't go there as often, and the general getting all of your car knowledge from the internet just wasn't as big of a thing. Most people were still getting car knowledge from going to car shows and talking to their friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Different time. Dead air.
What is the rule of thumb for what accessories can stay with the vehicle and what needs to be shipped separately?
If it's bolted down, then you get to keep it. And if it's not bolted down, you don't get to keep it unless it's the tool case
Right.
that comes with it.
My car didn't come with one. I
Or
wanted a
owner's
Honda.
manual is in the dashboard. Or in the glove box. I
Oh,
mean.
yeah.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you'll get something that wasn't bolted down, but it's only because it was an oversight. If there's any goods inside of the car, they get taken out by the people who prep the car for shipping.
Just, if it's not a part of the car, expect it will be tossed out because the shipping companies do not allow it. It is their rule, not our rule. We are only abiding by their rule.
Speaking of shipping, why don't you set up container shipping for damaged or non-running cars?
I would love to do damage to non-running cars. That sounds like a good time. Could you tell the sarcasm in my voice?
I could. And I have a sinking feeling in my stomach that matches to the sound of your voice.
Can I take this one?
Yeah, sure.
We sell as many cars as we can handle selling at the moment. We enjoy selling the cars that we sell, and we enjoy our jobs. Okay? Damaged cars are not fun to sell. And so I don't want to be selling damaged cars. It is a different type of work. Damaged cars require certain things that undamaged cars don't need to.
Yeah.
And it is more of a volume game. If you're going to be doing a ton of damaged cars, it might be worth it. But if this is a one-off, then we're creating new systems to sell a car and not get so much value. So this is a general business thing. If you've got good systems for a whole bunch of things that you're doing, like say you're selling 40 cars, and you can do the one system for the 40 cars. It's all easy. Anytime you need to make a new system or do anything outside of the regular way of doing things, this opens up an area where errors can occur or extra focus needs to be focused on those things, even when you don't necessarily have it. So you're pulling yourself away from regular business to put a lot of effort into something that could cause issues in your regular business because you're no longer focusing on those. This is a constant with businesses, and it's something that we try very hard to make sure that we are very good at our core business, and that also means it might look like we're not giving as good of service because we're not doing this thing on the side, like motorcycles, for example. But this is, in my opinion, not correct, because a good business will be very good at their core business and won't be stretching themselves thin doing other things. We don't need to. We got tons and tons of business as it is.
Yeah.
Look at us. We've got tons of business.
No, you're absolutely right. It's economies of scale. Like, the reason we try to keep our prices as low as possible so that it's attractive to everyone and people can get their cars imported and can trust us to do a good job for them. If we start branching out and doing too many other little difficult things, the time it takes to do one damaged car might be equivalent to 5 non-damaged cars. So do we charge you 5 times the price? That's not really fair, right? Like,
there are companies that do have good systems for these things, and that's what we recommend that you do.
Yeah, we usually recommend going
like
with
cut cars. Like, technically we could set up a car to be cut and exported to you. But there are companies who do this day in and day out, and they can do it better and cheaper than we can. So go over there.
Yeah.
Zaid says 20% of clients account for 80% of the effort.
The 80-20 rule. But I think as well, like, it's a logistical thing. A lot of people who come to us looking for damaged cars is because they can't afford the car in good condition. So they're trying to scale it back. So drift cars, for example, a lot of people are like, I don't care. I'm looking for a project. Give me a project. But they don't understand that if you buy your drift car from Kyushu or Sapporo or something far away, and it doesn't work, you have to put it on a loader. That loader is going to cost you $3,000 to $4,000 just to even get it here so it can be exported. Then you need to send it.
Depends on where it is, It could be very expensive.
You got to send it somewhere that has a forklift to forklift it into a container. You got to send it in a container because it doesn't run.
Containers are expensive.
Row. Yeah, containers are double or triple the price of row.
And they vary. We could say, hey, the container is $5,000 to send your one car to Canada, and then surprise, next month it's 10,000.
Yeah, at the moment
that happened to us. And it's not fun to tell customers, surprise, you now have to pay more for containers.
Right, especially to someone who was already looking to save money by buying a project car. You quickly just eat away all of your money savings, and then it's not really worth it.
Code the Road says maybe one day I'll just hire a motorcycle guy. That's this guy right here.
I would love if we exported motorcycles, but I think it would be I think it would be sweet. I'd go pick them up.
And
that'd be awesome. But like, the amount of volume you need to have behind you, like, we need a customer who wants hundreds of motorcycles a year. Like, it has to be hundreds.
And yes, to the poster, they have to be 25 years old to export. But all the best motorcycles in Japan, all the ones people want to buy from Japan, are 25 years old, because back then there were exclusive to Japan models that don't really exist anymore.
I will say the caveat to that, either hundreds of motorcycles a year or they're higher value classic bikes that you would be okay crating individually and then maybe sending LCL and spending the extra money. But that's difficult too, because that's like the classic car market, and there are different issues with that.
Back on the topic of containers, what about containers in general? Like larger orders of cars or truck cars?
The common sentiment is that if I'm purchasing 4 cars or something, then it's cheaper to send a container. And that is true some of the time.
Most of the time it's not.
Right. If you want 4 Hiaces, you can fit 2 in a container.
That's going to be way more expensive. Way more expensive than Ro-Ro.
So it doesn't work for any large vehicles. If you do smaller vehicles, that's fine, but then you have to figure out the loading plan. And if there are 4 or 5 different vehicles, do they even stack it in a container?
Oh yeah, every combination of vehicle has its own chances of being able to fit.
Right.
And you have to individually be like, these are my 4 cars, and they're like, no, those don't fit.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, how about I change this car to this car? And they're like, that doesn't fit.
Yeah. Or, oh, well, they need to fit because I've already bought them. And you're like, well, they don't. So
okay, well, then this one goes Ro-Ro, and these 3, now you need to buy another car.
Right.
Another thing, too, is you need to buy enough cars to fit the container, right? So say you're doing 4 cars in a container, and now you buy a car, and then you're being picky about what you want your next car, and then you buy that, and it takes you 5 weeks to buy the cars, and now you're starting to pay storage on those cars as they're waiting, and now you've got the extra pressure of going, okay, every day I'm adding another $10 to my costs, so I'm going to buy the car quickly, and then I regret buying the car quickly because and it doesn't save money. If you're doing 4 regular cars in a container, for most countries in the world, you're not saving any money anyway. K cars, depending on where you are, could be a cost savings. We had a dealer in Texas that was bringing in K cars by Ro-Ro because that was cheaper. We've got another dealer somewhere else. I'm not going to say because we currently sell to them, and they do it by container because it's cheaper for them to do it by container.
Yeah. So we do containers, but we don't just do them for anyone, and that's not us trying to gatekeep. It's that the economies of scale only work if you're high volume.
Goodbye, Mr. Lau. Off to sleep. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Lau. Not good night for us. We'll be here for a little bit more.
Yeah.
What else? I want to say one more thing back to... Oh, yeah. Arrival. Container arrival. It's a lot more difficult to manage a container arrival than you might think. The first time you bring a container into the country, I think it's like... I can't speak for all countries because I haven't lived in all countries or imported to all countries, but 90% of them probably, you will get flagged for an inspection as a first-time container importer. The customs and the government want to know that you're doing the right thing, that you're not bringing in illegal stuff, or you're not doing something stupid like just accidentally bringing in untreated wood to somewhere. That's a huge thing, and it's a biodiversity risk. So, and then this might surprise a lot of people, but customs in your country will stop your container for an inspection. You have to pay for the storage until customs can inspect your container.
At $500 a day.
Right. It is extremely expensive. Then you have to pay for the customs inspection.
$1,000
container. Then if it needs any treatment, you have to pay for the treatment. And $2,500 storage that is all going on.
And I'm not joking. $2,500 to have your car cleaned.
Yeah.
Because it has to be special biodiverse, and there happens to be only one company, and he's the brother of the guy who is the major at the port.
Yeah, who stamped this thing saying it needed the inspection. Yeah, it is.
And yes, that literally happened to us more than once.
Yeah. Ro-Ro is by far the easiest option. The caveat is that your car needs to be running and drivable to be safely exported.
Well, someone says it's $6,000 to $9,000 in total if your container gets flagged, and nothing was found.
Right, you can pay that money.
That's Flavian. He's watching the show.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, the containers are more difficult than most people understand or realize or expect, and we want all of our customers to have a good experience. So sometimes our answers come across as no, we won't help you do that, but there's a reason behind it. Like we don't want you guys to have to go through that kind of stuff, and yeah, not worth it. We have had some people who insist on doing it and they've gone through with it. They usually don't do containers again.
Okay.
It's like clockwork, and we could even say that to them. Okay, we'll do it for you, but you're not going to want to do it again. And they'll be like, no, I do what I want you to do, and then they don't do it again.
Yeah.
Let's do 2 questions and then end the show.
Okay.
Because the camera is about to die too.
Don't die!
Where was it? How hard do you think it would be to find a good St165 Celica GT-Four?
Very hard. The 165s are now 35 years old, and they weren't simple vehicles. They were complicated.
How
They
about
run-
the ST185?
It's pretty so-so. You can still find them, but the 205 is the easiest to find, and I think most people think the 205 is the best one. 165 is very classic looking nowadays, and I can see why people might want it, but there are very, very few of them here, and they're going to be expensive. We're talking $2.5 million or so, and expect to have to do some restorations still.
Is that the one?
It's the first generation of the GT4s with the pop-up headlights. First and second both have pop-up headlights, but not the round one, the squarish one.
Is that the one Homeboy's restoring? And you always talk to him about?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's
Okay,
the
and the
generation.
second question is, let's see if we can comment on this. What would be the most frequently car imported into Japan?
Frequently imported into Japan, FJ
Yeah.
Cruiser, I think.
Yeah, that's a good
you
call.
see a lot of those.
Yeah.
That's-
They were so popular to import that Toyota started selling them domestically here, even though they hadn't planned on doing it.
Cool. I didn't know that little history.
Other cars that are popular for
Yeah.
import, GMC Safari vans. I think
those
at
were-
least in the
there were a lot.
90s were very popular imports.
Yeah.
Other Toyotas like the Tundra.
Yeah, Tacoma.
I've seen Sequoias and what's their big minivan there? Sienna. Thank you, Grant.
Yeah.
Grant, can you think of anything that's a popular import to Japan?
The Dodge Vans.
Dodge vans?
Uh,
Also, there was a time where NSXs were very popular to import because you could buy them outside of Japan for cheaper than they cost new here.
On that subject, 40Z.
I was right about to say that, Grant. The 240Z for a very long time was much cheaper in North America. Much, much cheaper than they were sold for here. So people brought them in droves.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still the case. It might be. They're also really old, so
The Chevrolet Astros? Did you say
Yeah.
that already?
yeah, Safari and Astra vans are the same.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, like there are a lot of German cars that are imported here. We're talking RS4s,
right.
M3s, older AMGs. These types of cars are imported semi-frequently as well.
I think as a broad category, like the high value vehicles, right? Sorry, everyone. Max is saying we have to go.
Yes.
We don't want to go, but Max.
Well, since
Max
we're
says we
swearing
have to
now, you
go.
can tell us to hurry the F up.
Are we swearing now?
didn't
I got a
think we
whole
would.
bunch saved up.
And on that note,
Should I swear in German? Nobody would understand.
I
it
think
would
that'd
still
be
it
able
would
to
still count
translate
as
it.
swearing, and then you guys can be in bed together with each other. Okay, that's going to be the end of the show. Hope you enjoyed the show. I always say that, but it is true. I hope you enjoy the show. We put this out so that people enjoy it, don't we?
We do. It's supposed to be fun and educational, like a grown-up kids show. Really, this is a grown-up kids show
I never thought of it that way.
People.
for autistic people.
You guys, I'm sure we've got some autistic people in the chat. How would you like it if,
I would welcome them as one of them.
as one of
'Cause
self-diagnosed,
No, I'm not. I've been diagnosed by other people.
somebody sending you an angry email because they didn't get the servicing that they wanted?
Hey.
Mike, you're autistic, and the other guys are too. Didn't he call us all autistic or
Yeah,
something?
he said we're all on
Yeah.
the spectrum. And he gave
Is he a viewer?
detailed reasons
Is he
why.
a viewer of the show?
I don't
Could
know.
he potentially be watching us talking about him?
Maybe.
I feel like it's easier to diagnose us as autistic if you've seen us on video, right?
No, I think in person you'd probably come to the same conclusion, yeah.
No, but through an email, it can be a little bit harder to tell somebody is autistic through an email. Not
True.
always. Sometimes
Yeah,
you're
no,
like, this
very
guy's
true.
autistic. I mean,
He was.
I mean,
admitted it.
some people might consider it that way. I don't do that. When I read an email, I never consider people autistic.
Well, I mean, he straight up said it, though. And he was like, look,
Right.
I am, and that's how I know you are.
It didn't go exactly like that. It's like, I'm autistic, and that's why I have bad behavior.
Yeah. That was
Repeatedly, like
yeah.
7 times. Oh, I only was a dickhead because I'm autistic.
like how you pause to be like, I'll find another word, and then you're like, nah, dickhead is the appropriate word.
That's exactly what I did. Get ready to shut down, Max. We're done here.
Yes.
We're going to have an outro song sometime soon, and so this extended closure outro is going to become a thing of the past. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Goodbye.